At 3:12 a.m., I woke up to a voicemail on my wife's phone. The room was dark and silent, except for the faint buzzing of the phone. I reached over and saw the screen light up with a new message. A man's voice whispered, "I missed last night. Same place tomorrow?" The words sent a chill down my spine. My heart dropped so hard I thought it might stop. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I stared at the ceiling, trying to steady myself. I looked over at my wife, sleeping peacefully beside me, completely unaware of the storm brewing inside me. She looked so calm, so innocent. But that voicemail planted a seed of doubt that grew rapidly. Was everything I believed about our marriage a lie? Had she been hiding something from me all these years? I replayed the message in my head over and over. The tone was familiar, but the words were haunting. Who was this man? What did he mean by same place tomorrow? Was she meeting him? Was she cheating on me? Or was there some other explanation? I wanted to wake her up, to ask her directly, but I was paralyzed by fear and confusion. I didn't want to ruin the fragile peace of the night, but I also couldn't ignore what I'd just heard. My mind raced with questions and worst-case scenarios. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to fall into an abyss of betrayal and heartbreak. I lay there, heart pounding, unable to sleep. The voicemail was a crack in the foundation of our 8-year marriage. Everything felt uncertain. I wondered if I had been blind all this time, missing signs or ignoring red flags. Or maybe I was just overthinking, letting paranoia take over. But the doubt was real, and it was growing. I knew I couldn't just pretend it didn't happen. Something had to be done. I had to find out the truth, no matter how painful it might be. I didn't wake her up that night. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, my mind spinning with questions. Was she really capable of this? Was she meeting another man at night? Or was I misunderstanding something? The doubt gnawed at me relentlessly. The next morning, I acted normal. I didn't mention the voicemail. I didn't want to confront her without evidence. Instead, I started my own quiet investigation. I checked her recent calls. The number was private, no caller ID. That only made me more suspicious. I looked through our phone bill, trying to find a pattern. Every Wednesday night, she disappeared for about 2 hours. I checked her location history on her phone. It showed she was at a wellness center. But which wellness center was open at 11 p.m.? That didn't make sense. I felt like I was losing my mind. Was she really going to some secret late-night therapy? Or was she sneaking off to meet someone? The uncertainty was unbearable. I tried to recall if I had noticed anything unusual before. Late texts, secretive behavior, unexplained absences. Nothing concrete, but little things started to add up. The late nights, the hushed phone calls, the sudden changes in her routine. I wrestled with my emotions. I wanted to trust her, but the voicemail haunted me. I felt betrayed before I even knew the truth. I was caught between love and suspicion, hope and fear. I knew I had to find out what was really going on. But how? How do you confront someone you love without destroying everything? How do you seek the truth without losing yourself? The doubt was eating me alive. I felt like a detective in my own life, piecing together clues that didn't quite fit. I was desperate for answers, but scared of what I might find. That Wednesday, I decided to follow her. My hands were shaking as I got into my car. I told myself I was doing this for our marriage. I needed to know the truth. I kept a safe distance, trying not to be seen. She didn't go to any wellness center. Instead, she stopped outside a small half-abandoned house on a quiet street. The lights were dim, and the place looked run down. She knocked twice and walked inside. My heart pounded so loud I thought she might hear it. I parked a few houses down and watched through the window. What I saw made my legs go numb. There was a man sitting inside. My wife was standing in front of him. He looked rough, tired, broken. Not the man I had imagined. I pulled out my phone, ready to record. I thought I had proof of her cheating. But then she hugged him. A long, emotional, painful hug. Not romantic. Something else. Something I didn't understand. I sat there, frozen, as the scene unfolded. My mind raced to make sense of it. Who was this man? Why was she there? What was going on? I felt a mix of anger, confusion, and fear. I wanted to storm in, demand answers. But I stayed quiet, watching, waiting. That night I couldn't sleep. The image of that hug haunted me. I realized I didn't know my wife as well as I thought. There were secrets, wounds I hadn't seen. I knew I had to confront her. But I also knew I had to be careful. This was bigger than jealousy. This was about trust, love, and pain. The next day, I confronted her. I told her what I had seen. She broke down crying instantly. The man wasn't a lover. He was her older brother, recovering alcoholic. She told me how he had destroyed her wedding years ago with his addiction, how she had cut ties to protect herself. She never told me about him out of shame and fear. He had recently come back into her life, begging for help. She had secretly paid for his therapy, but didn't want me to judge her family again. The voicemail? It wasn't him. It was his rehab therapist calling from a private number, asking about the next session. My mind had twisted it into cheating because of the timing. I felt guilt hit me like a truck. I doubted the woman who had always stood by me. I judged her without knowing her pain. That moment was a wake-up call. I realized how little I knew about her struggles, how much I had taken for granted. I apologized, and she forgave me. But the damage was done. The trust between us was shaken. We decided to face this together. To be honest, open, and supportive. As we talked more, she shared her story. The pain of having a brother she loved but feared, the shame of his addiction, the loneliness of carrying this secret alone. I listened, really listened for the first time. I saw her vulnerability, her strength. We made a plan to help him, to support his recovery, to heal as a family. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks, arguments, tears, but we faced them together. Our marriage grew stronger. We learned to trust again. I learned that not every secret is betrayal. Sometimes it's a wound someone is too scared to show. The real heartbreak wasn't the voicemail or the secret meetings. It was the silence between us. The unspoken fears, the hidden pain. Breaking that silence was the hardest thing we ever did. But it saved us. We found new ways to communicate, to support each other, to love each other. Our marriage became a partnership built on honesty and compassion. I realized that love isn't perfect. It's messy, complicated, and sometimes painful, but it's worth fighting for. That night changed us forever. But not in the way I expected. Instead of breaking us, it made us stronger. I helped her brother. He got better, and I learned a powerful lesson. Not every secret is betrayal. Sometimes it's a cry for help. I learned to listen, to trust, and to love more deeply. Our marriage survived because we chose to face the truth together. Now I share this story to remind you that doubt and fear can cloud even the strongest love, but with patience, honesty, and courage, healing is possible. If you're struggling with trust or secrets in your relationship, don't give up. Talk, listen, fight for each other, because sometimes the hardest moments lead to the deepest love. Thank you for listening to my story.